Hello, welcome to a new unboxing. Well, today it will be a new variation, a new revision of the Flying3D X6. Well, some time ago I reviewed the first 200mm quadcopter, brushless quadcopter, including a GPS and functionality such as return to home or hotel landing. So this is the first and relatively cheap quadcopter, including such features, usually reserved for bigger size, 350mm and bigger. So, in fact, the first edition, the so-called version 1.2 and 1.3 after, got some bug, especially some the non-possibility to upgrade the firmware it was assumed advertised to be, and there have been reporting some flyaway due to the some bug inside the flying controlling operating system. So they decided to send to me the new revision, so-called 1.4. I will explain later why, and I will make the unboxing and describe the different we can expect to meet between the former version and this one. So first of all, I would like to advise, this is not a toy quadcopter. This is reserved for some people who already have very good knowledge of quadcopter. So directly, even out of the box, you need to take some precaution, okay? Because I receive a lot of email. Oh, my quadcopter is not working out of the box. I did that and I crashed it immediately and so on. So I try to put on the FC Group's review a big warning, big capital letters to read the instruction, to read the different steps to do to make the calibration. You need to perform some calibration, compass one and throttle one, and if you don't doing that, you may to damage seriously your quadcopter. So I make a big warning about this stuff. So what you will find in this box is exactly the same than the former version, so no external point of view. So here's what you will find in the box. So you will find the quadcopter. It's a 200 millimeter size, so it's pretty tiny. It's very tiny. I can confirm the size between the diagonal of the okay, it's something like 23 millimeters, centimeters between a motor to motors in diagonal. So here is the quadcopter. I will show the little difference in aspect of point of view, external point of view between the former editions. So here is the quadcopter. You will find some landing gears, okay, and the props. They are actually some Gen 5 models, some 5-inch and with a pitch of 30, so they are exactly 50-30, okay, and well, I can of course with different modes already shown in different previous video, you can mode it to install, for example, some 6-inch props, okay. You will find bags with a screw to screw your landing gears, okay. You will find the transformator to charge your battery. Actually, the shipped battery is 1000 milliamps per hours, rated 20C. Be aware, especially if you install some larger props in 6-inch, for example. This LiPo is not fantastic quality and tends to get buffed because the discharge rate is not enough to satisfy all the requirements in output. So try as maximum to use another type of model. On the FC Group's threads, I give some alternative LiPo. You will find the instruction manual is exactly the same that the former version. So you will find, for example, the compass calibration here on this page 12, okay, but you don't find the throttle calibration, so you have to read the My FC Group's review to find the instructions. So the throttle calibration is important if you observe some drift in your quadcopter, especially in GPS mode. But for any kind of drift, the throttle, in fact, it will calibrate the ESC and try to find the right input for each individual ESC. So this is also an important calibration to do. Nothing special to mention about the instruction manual. And finally, here is the transmitter, as well the power cord for the charger. So why I call it the version 1.4, because when you turn on this transmitter and you go to the menu and press OK on the system, if you go to the firmware version, you can read the 1.4. So finally, the reference of this transmitter, of this Flying3D X6, will be given by the remote version, firmware version of the remote. Okay, so this is actually the 1.4. It's maybe possible to update it through this trainer port, but it's in theory absolutely not evidence that it can be updated, especially with Flying3D. Now I don't want to make some prognostic anymore. Anyway, the radio is very good. It's more or less that a FlySky model is exactly the same. They just change the logo and maybe they change the switch here to install some port if you want to drive any gimbal. So this radio is compatible with the Flying3D X8 and in fact with any older version of the Flying X6 or X8. So it's good. What to say? So you have to bind, of course, with your, if you have a Flying3D X8, you can bind it. So it's a good news. You will need only 4 AA batteries to feed your battery transmitter. Sorry, you have a large LCD display, and you can find all the information. So you know, one of the main features of such model, you have the telemetry information. That means that, for example, the speed, the altitude, the GPS coordinate, everything will be displayed here in different menu. Okay, since the quad is off, I can show you can altitude, voltage, distance, speed, vertical speed, the yaw, and instantaneous yaw, pitch and roll of the quadcopter. The number of satellites you are receiving, the HDOP is an important values. It's indicating how the GPS is well locked. So the more the number of satellites you receive, usually the HDOP value is below. So if you have a value below 10, it's very good value, and you can be confident in the GPS locked and the return to home. If is above 20, be aware, is not really so confident. Finally, the last panel is the true longitude and longitude, sorry. And well, in the warm-up of your quadcopter, if these values continue to fluctuate even on the last decimal, wait a bit. That, for example, the number of satellites is stabilized. You should at least 5, 6, or 7 satellites. Okay. The first time you are powering your quadcopter, of course, you have to do it outside, more or less on the clear weather, not above some beton surface, because usually in the beton you have a lot of metallic bar inside. Can interfere with the GPS reception, so do it over the grass, for example, and you probably have to wait more than 10 minutes the first time that the GPS locked, and after your local GPS information will be saved into the small battery of the GPS module. So be aware of versus time. Maybe this small battery can be flat, and if sometime the GPS fixing is very long, it probably means that the small battery is flat, so you will have to change the batteries. Concerning now the Flying3D X8 here, here is the former version. So this is a 1.2 version. So I installed some 6-inch parts, 3-blade editions, but if I can compare how to recognize in external point of view, there are some difference. For example, the props locks are different. Now you have a color for clockwise, they are black. Counterclockwise, they are red. Okay, versus the former version was uncolored with the same. This is the first evidence, visual evidence. Probably the most evident is now, since the version 1.3, the antenna, the 2.4 GHz antenna, are now placed outside. Why? Because since you have some telemetry information, it means that the receiver will also, time to time, to send the information to the transmitter. So the receiver will be turned into transmitter. it means that it will emit some power in 2.4 gigahertz, and it may interfere with the GPS module here. So this is why they decided to put increase the distance between the GPS module with the 2.4 gigahertz. So what you will have to do is to install the landing gears, for example this one, and you can use some zip ties to well, you have to pass through the hole like this, the antenna, for example, you have a hole like this, and you have to install probably the antenna like this. Okay, so and use the zip ties to fix to one of the landing gears fit like this. Okay, you can use a small zip tie like this and it will be okay. So the idea is to try to minimize the interference for GPS. Another visual aspect is maybe less visible, but now on the top canopy cover they install some kind of metallic shield, okay, to block any HF signal to the GPS module. So here you can find some metallic inside the hole there. You can find some aluminium paper. Okay, it's playing the role of a kind of Faraday cage. You can see more here, the paper there. Inside it's a kind of metallic there, compared to the other version where you can see directly the flying controlling board, for example. So here it's installed a kind of tape with metallic field. It's good, and it will of course improve the GPS fixing. Of course, now you will be able to really very easily, much more easily fix 8 satellite and more. So it's a good news. On this model, I already performed the video of the mini switch mode. So the mini switch is to this. I install a mini switch to make easier the binding procedure, because each time you want to bind your quadcopter, you have to remove the top canopy part, so to unscrew and so on. So it's a little bit annoying. So I made already the video to perform the mini switch and the binding mode procedure. So and this mini switch is installed on the back of the upper part of the canopy. So now it's much more easier for me to bind the quadcopter. I just need to go to, like this, to entering in binding mode and bind the transmitter, and after when it's bound, I return in normal mode like this. Is very easy. So concerning the battery, well, I already put a warning on this. Already mine, this is the former LiPo of the my 1.2. You can see it's already a little bit puffed like this. There are a lot of, not a lot of, but some alternative. I found that, for example, the Xan X6 model, it's 1,200 milliwatts discharge rate of 33 may enter. It's entering there, so it's good news. So it's offering a much more juice, okay. And for example, some other alternative are this Tunage model. It's 1,300 milliamps. It also say it can enter like this in the battery bay. Okay, it's entering. It's not a problem at all. So it's good. Wow, so you have different alternatives to the batteries, so it's good. Well, with such batteries, and if you install some 6-inch props, sorry, you can have close to 10 minutes of flight. You have a good payload capacity, for example. Well, good. You have with 6-inch props, you can have 80 grams, maybe 100 grams. Without problem, so we can carry a small Mobius and a small light FPV gears without problems. So with the former transmitter, this is also a 1.4 transmitter. I modded the by installing 2 earpiece ACMA connector. Okay, maybe you can see there, and a screw. This is a earpiece ACMA connector. There is 2 cable like this connected through the micro FL connector inside the battery, the transmitter. Now I can plug any external antenna. I use some 5 dB, okay, like this. So it's extending range of control in a very good way. So if you want to have something like 400, 500 meter of range, you can do such mode. So and you have to bind with this quadcopter. So well. So also one of the main difference with the 1.4 version are now you can update online the firmware, so no problem at all, at least because they change also the install a real Big Shark X8 model flying contouring board, so they can be updated. A big caution, well, the firmware can be updated, but never use in the Big Shark website any offline flasher tools, because all of them are not dedicated to this Flying3D X8, so they are dedicated to the Cheerson or another model. Don't use any offline flasher tools, you will break your Flying3D, okay? If you want to update your firmware, always use the software of the ground station software, okay, and you will see appearing on the firmware panel eventually if you can install a new one, okay. Never use an offline program directly from the Big Shark website. So they added some modification of, they improved the sensibility of the GPS by the software. The headless function also, they improved a little bit some stuff with a new variant. But now the good news is you can use the ground station software. So I will advise first to plug your micro USB, okay? Then plug to your computer. Enter the battery, plug your quadcopter. Okay, you can use only the ground station software only if the quad is plugged to the LiPo. Okay, the powering of the USB is not enough. What to say more? Well, actually, the LiPo is a 2S battery. The motor, I think it can handle 3S, but the AC not. So don't try to use a 3S battery, you probably may cook the ASC. Well, a mode would be to install some 3S compatible ASC, I think is not real problem. What I like also inside, because I disassemble everything now, since they are using the new flying contouring board of a real X8 model, they also use a real connector, so servo plugs, so it's much more clean inside the building. So good points. So to resume, with the new version now you can update really the firmware through the ground station software. They improve the situation for the GPS sensibility, so, and also the algorithm, so you should anymore observe them fly away. The GPS fixing locking should be much faster, and this control range also will be improved thanks to the delocalization of the 2.4 GHz antenna. And of course, if you are doing such kind of mode in your remote, you will also improve drastically the range of this quadcopter. So with a real small, tiny, brushless quadcopter carrying a small FPV gear, well, is not reserved for very new babies. Okay, you will need to understand more or less what the word has said in this video, and you absolutely need to perform all the calibration procedure, compass and throttle if you observe any drift. Okay, so it's for intermediate user and more. I saw it actually for less than $180, so it's a very good package. In fact, it's very interesting also if you don't want to use this canopy, you can exit all the electronics and install on a carbon frame. It should be very interesting also, and because you have the telemetry, you have a good control range, you have a good radio, you have a GPS module and so on. So for the price is very interesting. So I will end this small unboxing and the first overview of the Flying3D X8. Okay, please comment this video. I will update with some photos the RC Groups thread. And if you like this video, please sub in. If you like my channel, please subscribe. Bye bye.